that's the nature of the business. Like I got choked, right? Some tenant, whatever. He was a squatter. I threw out his stuff. The guy comes back with the 1-800 got junk, and the guy literally took my phone, threw it away, and then he like headlocked, right? These are the dangers of, quote unquote, dangers of being a landlord. So is it hard? Yeah. This is a day in the life of being a landlord, right? So not all fun and games. It's like I had a tenant that passed away, like literally passed away, and I was like, well, they had dogs, and I was telling this to another friend. I was like, it didn't fade, like she didn't get this, right? And I was like, they had dogs. Oh, the dogs ate the body.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Canadian Real Estate Channel. Adam J.D. Martin back again with Kasey Wong, and today we're looking at this property that we looked at about 4 years ago, and this is 9
townhomes and a duplex.
Plus a bonus unit that Kasey added that he's not going to tell you about, but he told us, so I'm telling you.
Oh, don't worry, I'll tell you guys. So get this, check this out, guys. This is the building that I took a $35,000 cash back on close, and then because there was so much water going to the two basements, you see those basically the 2 townhomes right here, left of this duplex, or right to of this duplex, but I took $35,000 because there's so much water going down. And what the heck did I do with this $35,000? I put down downspouts and eaves trough, and it solved the problem. As simple as that. So look back at that video, and you can see sort of what I did with this property. But this is actually, I bought this property before I bought that student housing. So this is in I like to say 2011 or 2012, all right? So this is, you know, a good long-term hold, right? Refinance it, paid out some investors. Some investors didn't want to be paid out, and whatever. There's a whole fiasco with that. I bought them out. So let's talk about this building here. We bought this at 1.35 million, and over that time frame, it's gone up. We're going to be closing it at well over 3.35, like 3.3 million or something. So you can see that $2 million bump. Let's can you take a look at this building? So it's not a new building, all right? This is a building that's been here for about 100 years old, right? And it's probably going to be up for another maybe 10, 20, or maybe even up to 30 years. And it's just going to continue. Rent is going up. These are 3-bedroom towns, and the rents are, I'm actually hitting $29.50, okay, plus. They pay all the utilities except for water. But overall, these are strategic moves that you just buy and you hold, okay, for the long term. Overall, not much to do, all right? I upgraded to the point where some of these tenants don't even want the upgrade. They want to take it as is in a way that there's not enough supply, all right? So when you really think about over the long term, you're just buying at market, selling at market, and just doing your simple renovations, all right? So Adam, I don't know, do you guys want to walk around? Let's
Yeah, let's take a tour. So I've got a few questions. Like, one of my first questions is, when you first bought this property, you're saying 10, 11, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
It sounds like roughly you bought it about $100,000 a unit. What were the rents like at that time?
Oh, it was low. It was $1,000.
Wow, that's still like around that 1% rule that we're still hunting to.
Oh, actually, yeah, exactly. So in essence, if I'm renting it now at $3,000, that's that 1% rule again. All right, so we're seeing that. We're seeing that 1% rule come into effect, where rents are being driven up, right? Your cap rates are going up because of the rents. Now your interest rates has gone up. So yeah, we're back to that 1% rule. So less supply, all right? But people are actually coming out of the market. They're not, buyers are sort of on the sidelines. Yeah. So this is actually a good deal, even for the buyer, right? Once they realize they can actually rent it for about $3,000, right? I'm renting for $29.50, and these tenants, these people wanting prospective tenants, they said, don't renovate, because I was going to charge an extra couple $100, right? Be $31.50. But they said, don't renovate, we'll take it as is at $29.50, right? So yes, going back, they're buying it at, say, $300,000 per unit, and it's renting for $3,000. So yes, that 1% rule is coming back into effect.
I think a lot of viewers might be surprised to see a 1% rule property going in Kitchener-Waterloo area, right?
Yeah.
Like, for a long time in the channel, I hope you're not reading the comments, but I read the comments sometimes, and
Yeah.
people will say, right, because we'll talk about the 1% rule, and you see the like 400 comments being like 1% rule is dead, right? But
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like it's dead. And one thing I wanted to comment on, because we talked about this in the last video with Kasey. If you haven't watched that, go back and watch it. It's a great review of a property that we looked at a few years ago as well. But one thing we've brought up a few times now is interest rates.
Yeah.
Interest rates are higher.
Yes.
But you know, guys, talk to your accountant, talk to your CPA. We have things in Canada like the Smith maneuver, right, that can help you get rid of some of that tax burden, right? Get rid of some of that interest expense on your taxes. So
Yep.
it's not the end of the world. Of course, it makes it harder to cash flow
Yep.
today. But there's lots of strategies and tactics you can use to alleviate some of that pain. And ultimately, we're talking about a $2 million bump here,
Yeah.
right? Do you know roughly what you've put in the building since acquiring it for your original price?
Not much. Like renovation wise, it was just interior renovation. We did do some of the roof work, some of the parapet wall, literally less than $4,000 in the roof work. The eaves trough and the downspouts, I like to say $3,000, but I don't think it's $3,000. Hot water tanks are all rentals. But yeah, honestly, not much, Adam, like not much work went into it. Renovation, probably, I do anywhere, these buildings, I could put more money in, drive the rent a little bit higher, but anywhere from about $12,000 to maybe $14,000.
So again, when we're looking at the difference between borrowing at say 1.8, 2%, 3% if we're going to be crazy over the last few years, we're talking about the difference between 3% and maybe 6% now.
Yeah.
Does that difference really make any sense to you? Like, would you not purchase this building again because of those interest rate changes compared to the bump that you're actually getting?
No,
so
I
you
wouldn't.
put in 14 grand. We've got a $2 million lift here on this building. And of course there was time involved.
Yeah.
And I'm going to assume too, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but did you not have principal pay down?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you got your tenants paying your mortgage for you,
Yep.
right? You're responsible for taxes and, you know, operating expenses and whatever, but you're also cash flowing along the way.
Yeah.
And then when you go to exit 10 years later, you've got that big lift.
Yeah.
So does the rate matter?
No,
Kasey?
not really. So honestly, when the news really overshadows a lot of people's judgment, and the bad news really puts you on the sideline. So really think about what you're doing over the long term. It's not going to affect it that much. These are rates that it's not that high. Like my parents, in 1980s, they had like 12, 14%.
20.
Yeah, 20, right? And they remind me of that. It's like, that was high. So this is really nothing. If you can get through this, honestly, it comes to the point where it's gonna be high for the next, I say 3 to 5 years, but make sure you raise enough capital, make sure you have that buffer, all right? Then it's gonna be smooth sailing after that. Like after the 5 years, after this higher interest rate, it's gonna come down a little bit, and then it's free sailing.
So Kasey, I can already tell the comments are going to be brutal on this because it's
Yeah.
going to be like, you put in 14 grand, all of a sudden you've made $2 million. You got to be rich, but tell us some of the challenges.
But 14 grand per unit. Let's say if I had to renovate them, right?
Okay,
14 grand, and then some roof work, some eaves trough. There's maintenance and ongoing regular maintenance, but it's not.
Yep.
It's not to the point where it's detrimental to this investment, right? So for each unit, yeah, we just changed some of the flooring, some of the cabinets and things like that, but nothing major. Like we didn't change some of the cabinets because they're decent shape. But overall, when you're looking at properties like this, I'm not looking at distressed properties, properties with structural issues. Let's walk to the side. So it's not to the point where these properties, I'm doing a whole bunch of work. It's not. It's really a buy, simple renovation, all right, and hold it for the long term. And there's honestly all these opportunities every single week, right? So it's not like these are hidden gems. They're all over the place.
So what have some of your challenges been?
Oh, some of the challenges.
Because it can't all just be making money.
No.
Everybody would be doing it.
I was telling these guys, I was telling Adam before this, is like I had a tenant that passed away, like literally passed away, and I was like, well, they had dogs, and I was telling this to another friend. I was like, it didn't fade, like she didn't get this, right? And I was like, they had dogs. Oh, the dogs ate the body, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, it really hits you. It's like, okay, well, like for me, I don't get fazed by that. Like it all happens. It's like, you know what? People are dying all the time in hospitals or whatever, right? Like, is it really? I get this from tenants as well. It's like, oh my goodness, somebody died there. You can't live there anymore. It has to be condemned or whatever. No, it's like, would your hospitals be condemned, or would an accident scene, that intersection be no, it's not. Life moves on. You get a company like one of those hazard companies that will, clean up the mess and so on and so forth, a couple $1,000s here and there. It's like, to clean up the mess, it was a couple thousand, right? But overall, that's the nature of the business. Like I got choked, right? Some tenant, whatever, he was a squatter. I threw out his stuff. The guy comes back with the 1-800 junk, and the guy literally took my phone, threw it away, and then he like headlocked, right? I got out of it. It's like, boys will be boys. Like, I'm okay with that, right? Boys will be boys. They want to have some fun, right? But these are the dangers of, quote-unquote, dangers of being a landlord. So is it hard? Yeah, it can be for some. For me, this is a day in the life of being a landlord, right? So not all fun and games, right? Hey guys, sorry for interrupting this video, but Jed and I, we're starting this mentorship. So if you ever want to hop on to something more exclusive, join us up with this mentorship. Either it's a group mentorship or one-on-one. Right? So not all fun and games, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no reward without risk, right?
Yeah,
I think is the kind of takeaway from that, and
Yeah.
like, even if it's just day-to-day stuff, and
Yeah.
I think for someone your size too, what level of management are you putting in place to sort of deal with the day-to-day? Or are you doing a lot of that stuff yourself?
I do some of it myself. I have a good administrator, Carolyn, who does quite a bit of the paperwork and all that. Each building will have almost like a site superintendent. They don't have to live on site, but if I need help or anything like that, they can be here. Because I live in Toronto. This is KWC, 1 hour away. But 1 hour, I can usually be here an hour to an hour and a half, drive time or whatever. I can be here any kind of emergencies. I had emergencies, honestly. A roof cave-in in one of my properties in Hamilton. I had a fire in my student housing. Some tenant wanted to cook French fries. And I was like, boom, $1,700 that he had to pay for, right? French fries, right? That's expensive. French fries. What else? I had incidents of hoarders. I still do. Hoarders. People not paying their rent. I threw, honestly, it was in the eviction stage, and I had to get 1-800 junk and move everything out. But those are the horror stories. Those are the fun stuff of being a landlord, right? Being headlocked or choked, or somebody saying that this guy Brad Progue said I'm gonna kill you, right? I literally said I'm gonna kill you with witnesses, and then the cop goes, I'm not sure if this is on video. The cop goes, how did he say it? I'm like, friggin' what? And I go, does it make a difference how he says it? Like,
Did he sound like he meant it?
Yeah, did he sound like he meant it, or did he whisper I'm gonna kill you? That's even worse, man. Friggin' so some guy, I whisper, I'm gonna kill you. That's friggin' scary ass, right? I'm I basically said, staff, call your staff sergeant. That's what I said to the cops. I go, he was a rookie. I go, call your staff sergeant. And then basically I walked away. He comes back to me and goes, okay, I'm gonna arrest him. That was the story. Brad Progue. And then he went to jail. This is in my 356 Lauder Street. He got out. He got shot in the head, right? He was on the news, right? So I think he screwed up some drug deal or whatever. He's not a gang member, I don't think. But big dude,
It's a credible threat.
Yeah. So I had to get a restraining order, things like that, because I still have to manage my property. He couldn't come back, and then he got put in jail. I evicted, through the eviction, and then I just threw everything out, right? But that's a normal process, right? But yeah, there's good sides of learning the profits or being, that motivation, right? But it comes with a lot of risk, financial risk. It comes with a lot of time risk, as in it's going to take some of your time away from your family. And there's a lot of ongoing work with investors, with your contractors and your tenants and things like that. So it's not all rainbows and like butterflies. There's an amount of time and effort that you have to put into it.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Awesome, Kasey. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. I know we've been looking forward to an update on some of these buildings for a while, and as you know, we've all been busy, and I'm sure if you've been following along with the channel, you've been working on your own stuff.
Yeah.
It's really great to see that, you know, you actually are living out what you're preaching here. You've held this building for 10 years, and now you're ready to, you know, potentially let it go and pass it on. And passing on with a 1% rule is kind of crazy. So that's awesome feedback, man. And I think a great point too from that previous video that we're reiterating here is like, you know, that $35,000 downspout job was really a $3,000 job you could do yourself, but you had to have the guts to actually ask for it and take on the risk yourself, right? You took on the risk that maybe it was going to be more, and in the end you end up winning on that. So that's awesome. Very resourceful.
Yeah, so honestly, you ask for it, you may not always get it. I sold this building, it was actually on paper, conditional to another investor. It was during COVID, so it was 2 points. I think the final number was 2.4, 2.3, and anywhere from about $2.5 million. This is during COVID, so mind you, he would have got a steal. I would have just paid out my investors or whatever, right? But he asked for a $100,000 vendor take back, and I basically said no. And his name is Andrew. I won't say the last name, but basically he asked for $100,000. That was a make or break for him, and that was a make or break for me. So it's basically nothing wrong with that. He just basically said, you know what, it doesn't make sense financially to be at 100,000. You want 100,000, and I said no, I don't want 100,000. So sometimes people ask for it, and sometimes you don't get it. I asked for the 35,000 cash back on close because now I don't think you can do this cash back because it's something about the mortgage rates and stuff. You talk to Finley or whatever, like talk to a good mortgage broker. But when it comes down to it, you ask. If you don't get it, you have to be able to get the money somewhere else. If that 100,000 doesn't work, get it somewhere else, because a lot of these deals, over the long term, it does make sense, and you don't want to walk away from a deal just on 100,000, right? So, but mind you, taking that step and searching out enough deals that the 100,000 makes sense. So you don't just look at one deal, you look at multiple all across the board. So 10, 20, 30, 40 deals is what you're going to be looking at. And then honestly, my job of being a property manager is honestly easy. It's the easiest part, is that I find it very easy. My wife doesn't like it, but we're good partner. Like it's a good partnership, business-wise, because she does things that I don't like, and I do things that she doesn't like. So having that team, you don't have to basically you don't have to eat the entire pie. All right, you can have multiple pies and have slivers and slices of each one. All right, so think about what you can tackle, and if you're good at something, strategically optimize and get more of that portion. Like if I'm good at management, I continue with that, right? I don't try to do everything myself, because having that one pie, and it's a very small pie, is not worthwhile over the long term.
Yeah, that makes sense. Specialization is almost always better. That's right. Toyota production system over here.
That's right.
All right, guys, never ask for 100 grand because nobody's going to take you serious. Always ask for more than that. And seriously, if you need more info from Kasey, go back and watch a bunch of the videos. There should be a whole playlist on this channel with Kasey. So there's lots of info there that you can learn, and lots of little techniques, tips, tricks that you can use when you're negotiating your next building. It's always buying season, so let's get after it, guys. Thanks again for watching Canadian Real Estate Channel. We'll be back with more Kasey for you soon, so stay tuned.